Stephen Squibbs presents this month's board certification tip.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the February 15th, 2021 monthly family law case law, we have a very special guest, Christie Guerrero from Jacksonville, who is in a law firm, two-person law firm. Both attorneys there are board certified, and Christie just passed the 2020 board certification exam. So Christie, congratulations on being one of the 4 folks who passed last year's exam. It's great to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
And Christie graduated in 2012, so she's a relatively young attorney to pass this test. And what I found really interesting was she's also used to work for DCF as a child protective investigator. So that has to help your practice in all kinds of ways. Welcome to our show, Christie.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the topic is tips on how to pass the board cert exam. And last year we had 4 people pass it. And we're trying to get that number up, that passage rate up, and was wondering, what steps did you do to approach studying for this exam?
So I had the best intentions. I honestly, the application date snuck up on me. So the year that I could have applied to sit, I did not get my application in on time. But what that meant was that I had a full year to study before I could even apply to sit for the following year. So I marked every Friday off on my calendar for the entire day. I'm going to study, and I'm going to set aside plenty of time. That never happened, not even the first time, because we're family law attorneys and fires happen. And the very last thing that I was able to do that week was to sit down and study when I needed to prep for the hearing for next week. So then it really came down to timing of it. Again, I started in December thinking, okay, I'm gonna buckle down and do it now. I might have gotten a few hours of study time in December. The bulk of what I did happened after the board cert review class. I did put the 100 hours in. I stopped counting at some point, so my best guess is I put in about 100 hours. For me, I studied the same way that I studied for every law school exam, for the bar exam. I read the outlines. I read the red books cover to cover. I then went back and outlined them, and then I went over my outlines again and again and again. I was never really an acronym person, but that was the only way I could find to get myself memorizing all of the statutes and all the factors. And so I did that. And yeah, I mean, for me, I think the best thing that I did for myself is the week before the exam, I rented a house in Tampa, and I took myself there and did nothing but study for this exam for that week. You have a busy practice. I've got a family at home. There was no way to do it for me other than to completely remove myself from all of it and just devote that time to studying. And I found that to be really, really helpful. And if I had it to do again, thankfully I don't. I would definitely do that again.
Now, there's a lot of criticism that the test is just too hard, and they give you all the core areas and the subcore areas, so you know what's going to be tested. Did you think the test was a fair representation of what they told you was going to be on it?
I do. I don't think there was anything on the test that wasn't either in the red books or identified on the outline that they gave us. So when I was putting together my study materials, I used that core and subcore list. I checked everything off as I was creating my outlines to make sure that I had covered every subject matter that they told me that they were going to test me on. And I knew everything that I needed to know. The test is difficult, but it should be. And clearly it can be passed, but you've got to put in the work and know the material in order to do it. You can't walk into the test, and I know people that did. I spoke to several people that took the test that hadn't studied at all. They just assumed that if they had put in the 5 years or the 6 years or the 7 years, that their experience would be enough to get them through. I can assure you that it's not. the way this material is tested is not your general practice knowledge. They're not going to ask you what's the standard to modify child support. They are testing the nuances and the very unusual fact patterns, and it's the application of the law, not do you know the standard.
And they give you true, false, multiple choice, and essays. What did you think was the most difficult?
I think they were all equally difficult. The essays, of course, are extensive, but they're complicated. There were some that were easier than others. The ethics is pretty straightforward, but the substance of one of ours was an equitable distribution fact pattern that was complicated, and the multiple choice is difficult because you always, and to some extent, psych yourself out. And well, this could be true. We do what we do. We argue in our own heads. Well, this could be true if this, and this could be true if that. So it's kind of walking yourself back and answering the question that is in front of you without over analyzing it, which I think is difficult for all of us.
Did you, in between your break, did you happen to talk to anyone and get psyched out at the test, or how did that go?
So it's really interesting. Yes, people didn't come back for the second half of the test. I think those were the people that also had not put any time to study, who thought that they could just show up and take the test and pass it. They didn't realize how difficult it was actually going to be. But for me, the first part of the test was multiple choice, and I felt really good about it. But yeah, it's hard. It's no different than the bar exam. Everybody walks out feeling as though they just bombed it. There's no way I passed that exam. But don't talk to anybody. If you know it, you'll know it, and you'll be fine.
And I think this year they're doing it remotely based on the pandemic issues, and you will have a proctor watching you as you take the exam to make sure you're not looking at anything. So I think they're doing it kind of like the bar exam. When you took the test, did you type your answer or did you write it old-fashioned way?
I took a laptop and I typed. I can't imagine having enough time to have gotten through all of the essays had I handwritten them. At least not have gotten as much information that I would have wanted to. But I'm faster typer than I am handwriting. Several people did handwrite the exam. I would not. I would highly recommend taking a laptop in. It's not cumbersome. You are able to bring a laptop bag in with you. Well, it's at home now, so remotely, but yeah, I would not handwrite.
And were you able to get all your package in before the test, where you knew you would be, if you sat for the test, you knew you had already passed peer review and all of the requirements, or were you a little late in your application?
So because I had missed the application deadline the year before, I knew this go round what it was going to take to get that application in and done. So I started that process early, and I got it in on time. I did have to supplement my application with some extra information, but that was an easy process. I only had to do that once, and so by the time I sat, I was not concerned about my application at all. I knew that was going to be just fine.
A lot of people, I think, don't appreciate it, that it's very similar to applying for the bar, and it does take a lot of time for the board cert committee to process all of that. And as a past committee member and chair, it's amazing really how much weight they put into peer review and how seriously they take that. So if you are past that process, I think, that says a lot about you as an attorney, that you're even allowed to sit for the exam.
Absolutely.
So all the folks that are out there nervous like you were before you took the test, do you have any tips that might give them comfort or some additional direction?
There's no magic trick. There's no secret. None of us that pass know anything that the people sitting in front of their exam materials don't. If you have practiced well in your career, if you've been a good, thorough lawyer, if you have done your research, and been prepared for every hearing you've ever walked into, then studying for this exam is you're going to be okay. Yes, you're going to learn new things. I learned new things. I walked out of the test after the experience was over and thought, even if I don't pass this exam, I'm a better lawyer for having studied for and taken this test. So I've come out better, regardless of the exam result. So it's a feat, and the test is difficult, but if you put in the time and do the work, it is a manageable mountain to climb.
And when did your partner, Molly, become board certified?
She passed the exam the year before that I took it.
So you guys have a little niche going on, a nice little boutique firm in Jacksonville.
Yes. We're sad that we cannot market our firm as a board certified firm, but we do. Put a little check out there that yes, both of the partners of the firm. We do have some other attorneys here that are not yet board certified, but they will be on their way shortly.
Well, Christie, we appreciate your time today, and thank you for sharing some tips with our viewers. And
Absolutely.
we wish you the best of luck in your career, and we're very proud that you passed this test. So congratulations.
Good luck, everybody.